Alright, hello everybody, Rufi here with another play and explain for value heavy. This time we're back on 10NL Zoom on Pokerstars Italy. And yeah, not too many people in the pool as it is still early morning, but let's go for a little session and see how it goes. The plan as usual, trying to, play as if I were grinding these stakes all the time. We've seen 11x open, interesting. And yeah, just trying to spot the reads, spot weaknesses as much as you can, try to exploit the pool. Here we already have the first hand that is somewhat in the edge, but with potentially two recreational, at least one. I like widening my opening range here a bit from the button. King queen on the left, you can 3-bet or we can call. I don't expect to get 4-bet that much. I don't mind going for a 3-bet. And against the recreational, I don't mind going quite linear. Ace 3 as well. GTO 4, but I think in practice definitely performs as profitable as an open hand here. We'll just start with a small range bet on this flop. Pretty good board for me. And on the turn, I think I will check my ace size here and barrel all of my jack 9, queen 9, etc. 8x, 9x hands. There's still a hand of some of those hands that he could have. Not good enough that we're check calling, but I think good enough that we can check down and sometimes win. Don't think we want to turn our hand into bluff. We can, even if you bluff everything that's not ace high, we're already over bluffing. So gonna just check. It's interesting now whether we want to bluff catch or not. Queen 10, he doesn't value bet that, so definitely a guy that bluff catching is quite good, right? If he doesn't value bet at 10 there, trying to get caught by my weaker pairs and ace-x, he's not value betting thin enough, and then he might actually be over bluffing. Could also be a guy that also doesn't bluff. Here we have a limp from presumable recreational. His 5 is a bit close here, but I think we can ISO it. And facing a 3-bet, we just have to fold. Ace queen here against the short stack and a 3-bet. Yeah, I think this is just gonna be a fold here. In these positions, ace queen suited or ace jack suited, I'd call 4-bet, but here when you bluff, we're kind of committed against the cutoff as well, so we have to keep that in mind too. I think the best option is to just fold. 5, again, one of those hands that if people don't 3-bet enough and maybe fold a bit too much, performs well as an open. And on this board, not a board where you're going to see bet at too high of a frequency, so I'll just start with a check and attack later after it goes check check. Checks back quite quickly. Now on this 4-2 straight, I'll only use small sizings, and any hand here really can bluff. Even if you fold out his air, all of his hands have some equity to drawing to a chop, so getting a fold here for a small sizing is great. The left side we isolated and we get called, pretty bad flop. Can I still consider going for a c-bet here. Trying to target some of his ace-x hands that he could have, lower pocket pairs that he might have. And with the king of spades, he at least have some backdoor potential. But when everything breaks, I think we'll check and then hoping to, well, just check fold basically. And on the left side, I like starting with a small bet against recreational, let him float quite wide and then go into the check calling mode basically, unless they go crazy. And yeah, king queen, unfortunately, we just have to fold. Don't think he get many folds after bet the flop. All of his backdoor still have something. He checks back quite quickly, and now it's just time to go for value myself. He could have a better ace sometimes here. So I'm kind of just sizing my hand here. I think half pot is good. If I had a strong ace, I'd maybe go a little bit larger, and he does just fold. So again, if I were playing more regularly stakes, I would take a note that his snap check is weak, and attack it with all my bluffs. Flopping a set on table 1, so it was great. Main plan is to check raise unless he goes large, then we could maybe play some check calls. Goes check check, and now we have the option to go for a double check raise or to go for the bet ourselves. With the 5s particular, I don't mind going for the double check raise. I block the hands that he checks back, like the 5x, and it's more likely that he reopens the action here, and then we can go for a kind of massive check raise here. Yeah, trying to get the money in. He could have 6-7 here, but I think we have a lot of potential bluffs. The board is quite wet. You can have pocket 8s, of course, 7-6 that we lose to, but we beat a lot of hands here, all the 9-8s here, and he just jams it in our face. This is ugly, but I don't think I'm folding here after I take this line, but not loving the spot facing the snap jam here. But I think at 10NL people might just overplay weaker hands here, so I think we just have to call. Sorry, let me remove this, and here's 4-6 for the open ender, and we can hold twice. Gonna 3-bet here on the right with a hand that's mixed frequency. Interesting. He checked back that open ended and then jammed it in on the turn. But yeah, good for us. Table on the right, we 3-bet against the recreational. I like starting with a small bet here. Main plan to double barrel a lot after the check call, especially on such a beautiful card like this one. Hoping obviously to not get jammed on would be kind of disastrous with this hand. In theory, you could also just go half pot, and because I'm probably end up triple barreling this hand, I don't mind sizing down anyway to half pot, and just go half pot range on such a great turn, expecting a lot of folds. And yeah, if he calls, we'll probably be all in on the river. On the left side, I would normally go for large bet or check. However, I think against weaker players, a small bet might perform a little bit better. Queen 3 is just a fold. Ace 10, a call, facing the min raise. And then if he bombs it on the turn, we have to check, we have to fold. If he checks to us, we can now bluff or decide to check this back. I don't mind checking this back and realizing some equity and bluffing our jack 10s or 10-9 hands, or hands with a club in our hand, and just going for the late bluff here, basically. Kind of getting a bit more information on this guy. Goes for half pot now. Do I want to bluff raise this or bluff catch this? I don't think so. I think it's just a fold here. Pocket 10s here. This guy seems to be a bit more raggish. I'll use a large bet or check, and then 10s always falls in the checking range. Snap check again. Kind of tells me he's kept. Doesn't have much. Doesn't really change anything. What I want to do with my hand 10s is just gonna be a double check. But if I had a hand like Queen 5 of clubs, I would probably step now, always, instead of sometimes like I should in theory. And now he goes for a half pot bet. It's not great. He can definitely have a jack, value betting for the sizing, but he's also loads of bluffs. He snap checked the turn is less likely, he has a strong ace-x. So I think we just have to call and expect an overbluff here. Here's a jack, that's fine. So yeah, he had a 6-7, a mixed 3-bet in theory, but I think in practice against weaker players, you should definitely try to find as many of these 3-bets as you can, as this is such a profitable spot. Here, in theory, it should be 6-5 defending, but I think in practice, even 6-4 against a weaker player can get in there. Right, we're gonna have a lot of timing tells, sizing tells, so we can do something. Now it's just a fold though. Here we're 3-way out of position. Probably just gonna start with a check with my hand, and it's a board where we could have some c-bets. It's a pretty good board for us, even multi-way. But yeah, I think we're definitely not gonna range bet, and then a hand like ace-10, I don't mind just going for the check. Kind of want them to continue with the ace highs. Snap check behind, again, quite a big timing tell. Expect this guy to be in a lot of under pairs or ace high hands. Not that many king x hands, because those have draws on the flop and would at least consider betting. My hand is still another check though. Now he min bets, very interesting. We're definitely not going anywhere with a pair plus a gut shot, but definitely interesting to see a min bet here. Doesn't make too much sense in my eyes. Pocket 4 is always calling here. And now he goes half pot. Inclined to go for a bluff catch here. Don't see too many hands here. Sure, he could have some random king queen that snap checked back, but I think we have a decent bluff catching candidate here. Also thinking about bluff raising here, but then again, I don't think if he has a king he's gonna fold it, and I don't think he's betting a jack, so I'd rather just call. And here's queen 8. Pocket 4, so he went check check on the flop. Now he goes for half pot delay. I think I will just fold this. Pocket 4 is calling here. We get counterfeited on an ace on a 9. I don't think it's that great. So yeah, the big thing here was just a timing tell, right? The snap check back on the flop is kind of capping him, and also making it less likely that he had a king, plus the min bet on the turn, right? So we have a very comfortable calling spot here. I'm gonna open the 9-7 here with a very nitty guy on my left. Basically puts me in the cutoff. 6-5 here is just a fold, a limp pot. And small squeeze, but I think we're still folding when this guy squeezes from the big blind. And everybody folds. I hope you can see the graph in the bottom right. I know it's not highest quality or very big. I'll show it at the end as well as in the previous session, but yeah, just so you can have it there. Jack 8 again, mixed open, but I think in practice is fine. And on this flop we can go either way between bet or check. I'm gonna start with a check this time on the 6-9. I'll defend on the left. Flop and open, end up with backdoor straight draw. I'm gonna play this aggressively, expect a lot of small c-bets, and against that we'll go for a check raise. On this board I want to use a large check raise because I'm mainly wrapping 2 pair better. And the Jack 8 here, we're just gonna check call, taking it down. And the plan is to call down for the most part with the Jack 8, especially seeing this sizing. Don't think we want to raise, I think we just want to call. Now we hit the straight. This is maybe interesting spot to donk, especially since he went small on the turn. We block a jack, which is kind of what we want to get called by, but he could make some 2 pairs. I don't think he's gonna bluff enough. So I think I prefer the lead, and left side we just go for a small range bet. I think he can definitely have some Jack 10 here, 10 9s here. And I just don't think he's bluffing enough on this run out for me to want to check. Yeah, and here we just keep betting. Not gonna overbet here. He can still, both players can have a lot of ace-x, right? So I don't want to isolate myself against just ace-x. And I can still go for a large bet and, you know, get max value on a brick river. So yeah, open shove for 40 bigs. Interesting. Definitely should keep an eye if this guy is doing it more often or not. 7-6. We have a potential weaker player in the big blind. I will open. And same with the Jack 9 here with the weaker players. I just really want to play more hands here at these stakes, not just for the video, but also if I were playing these stakes normally. People are quite passive, pre-flop, they're passive post-flop. There's loads of opportunity to take away the pot. And you can even hit with hands like this. So that's basically what we're doing, right? We're just stealing the blinds, going for small c-bets, not doing anything too fancy here. And yeah, kind of try to just win a lot of, you know, small pots, a lot of free pots. Again, hand that is close as an open, right? And obviously they're not always getting through, but we already made a profitable open with the 7-6 and the Jack-9 in the other hand, which, you know, could just be folds. And even here, right? Sure, we're mainly check folding, facing a bet here from a nitty guy into 2 players, but if we were to check behind, we could potentially do something later. And, you know, I think that's where a lot of the profit comes from at these micro stakes, and a very easy way to improve your win rate, right? If you do those things, you play solid post flop and don't punt by, you know, calling versus nits too much, or by making huge folds against fish, you should be doing fine. Weaker player here limping, and an over limp. We're definitely gonna ISO here with 6s. Maybe lower pocket pairs I would just call behind. Now that this guy ISOs, I think we're just calling. Bit too weak to 3-bet here, and I don't mind playing multi-way here with the fish. Trying to hit a set. Now we're obviously out of there. Left hand side, ace king, I will 3-bet. Don't mind about being 2 face up here and going a little larger here, even though, you know, he's not that deep. I don't need to go that large, but I have ace king particularly. There's only fish behind. I'm not worried about being face up. This guy opens to 11 big blind. I think he's doing this with a lot of hands, but yeah, now that there's a re-raise, I would have considered jamming here for the 11 big blinds with pocket 8s and just going with it. But I'm really curious to see what his range looks like. And going for a small c-bet here against fish. I think this performs well. Also, my hand particularly doesn't mind going for a small c-bet. If I had maybe like jacks out, maybe size up. See a cold call, 30 big blinds. This is either a complete whale or just aces. More likely to be just a complete whale, to be honest. And he obviously now jams. Don't think this guy is ever folding if he ISs to 30. And this guy has pocket 9, so it is strong. Okay, that's definitely good to know. We would have lost our stack there with our pocket 8s. So again, if I were playing more regularly, I would take note of that. Again, king 5 opening, just stealing with the tight players behind. The jacks here, I think I'm still going for a code 4-bet because this guy has a 3-bet of 15%, and I'm gonna make it. We're a bit deeper here, so I think I'm gonna make it like 25.5. And here I'm also ISOing. Lots of dead money in there. Now we take it down with the jacks. That's great. Against a jam, would have been a bit ugly. The limp jam from under the gun, we can just fold. Could also obviously just call it 10-9 pre-flop, but given the dead money, I always prefer the squeeze option with just a linear strong range. I think 10-9 can just about get in there. Obviously, we didn't know that this guy had limp jams from under the gun. Knowing that, we wanna be a bit more careful. Let's update the graph. You can just see slowly but surely going up just by stealing some pots, not doing anything too crazy, right? Pocket kings here, gonna 3-bet again here. If you want, you could size up, just because, you know, who really is gonna pay too much attention there. And now that we size up with kings, so with ace king, and I don't think it's gonna affect his calling range. Hoping to see a 4-bet obviously, but a call is fine too. Lovely board. And again here, right, like if I had pocket 10s, would I go 1/3? Yes. Am I gonna get exploited for that? Probably not, right? So here just gonna start with a half pot. Beautiful blank on the turn. Gonna consider over limping here. And yeah, just going 2E now, trying to get the money in. 70%, something along those lines. Seems good here. Expect a lot of folds now on the turn. Or a jam. Prefer to see a call here rather than a jam, because he can definitely have jack, 6 or 8s here, but we're not going anywhere with kings here. And he turned the pocket 8s. That's unfortunate. Here pots us better than the call. We're just out with our second pair. Yeah, not much we can do here. You can definitely have a hand like ace jack here still, or jack x with jack x and the flush draw. Pocket 8 is the main hand that he's kind of saying here. 6s raises out on the flop, jacks just calls, right? So we lose to 3 combos of 8, and that's about it. 10-9 for the combo draw. So not much we can do here. It's just gonna lose a stack here. 16 bigs. We're gonna be rejamming. Maybe just clicking because we're 200 big blind steep with this guy. Yeah, I think clicking and jamming if this guy were to fold. And here's king jack, that's fine. On the right hand side we play against the fish from the small blind with bottom set. This is maybe one of the hands that I don't mind sizing up a little bit, but I also want him to continue a lot. Yeah, but I think pocket 3s particularly I will just size up. Ace 8, just checking behind. I think this guy has some sort of limping strat. And calling against the min bet. Check on the turn, now just folding. If he checks back we can bluff, potentially bluff the river. And yeah, against the barrel will fold. Queen 5 against this guy, right? Quite different to the other guy who looks, well, also looks quite fishy, to be honest. But I think here I will ISO. Just about strong enough. Queen 8 or lower would probably just over limp. 7.5. Apparently nobody folds. If I don't have fold equity, then maybe I prefer over limp. And I think now I'm gonna start with a check. This is a situation where I would also check strong hands, just because it's multi-way and I'm expecting them to stab a lot too. I can check raise and my hand just not strong enough to bet multi-way. Hoping to see a snap check here. We know this guy's capped. We know this guy's also somewhat capped. The 7 uncaps them a bit, but I think it's a good spot to go for a bluff now that they checked back. I think because we are multi-way, I think I don't mind starting with a half pot. See a snap call, very interesting. And definitely gonna bluff the river. I don't think I need to go huge here. I think 30 big blinds should do the job. Don't think he's checking back too many, too many flush draws on the flop, but apparently he did. Or he turned pocket 7s. So yeah, unfortunate spot here. The timing read was off. And then here the queen 6 checks around. I'm gonna raise here with my turn pair. This guy checking twice and this guy checking back on the flop makes him somewhat capped, and then he min bets. I think we can get away there. And it's tough to find bluff raises here, and having a pair I think is a good bluff raising candidate. Just folding my 10-6, ace 4, another limp. Gonna ISO, using usually 5x and then just increasing them more depending on how many more limpers are there. Gonna start with a small bet on a double Broadway board. Beautiful turn. Either bet or check is good. Don't mind going for a check to check raise this. I'm blocking everything that he could stab, like a queen x and the draws. And now we're just raising. We could also, if we know he's aggressive, check call and check call, but I think this board is quite dynamic. I want to just get the money in, so I'm gonna raise this on the turn. Gonna check it a king jack multi-way. Expect a lot of folds here for sure. There's a lot of draws that just zap and fold, but I don't think a queen x folds, and now we're obviously going for all of it. Here checked around, and we have this guy now min betting multi-way. And we get one call. We could raise and then bet the river again, which gets a bit thin. So we'll just call. And we get snap called. Oh, he says for himself. Okay. Unfortunate there. Interesting run out now. Players could definitely flush. I mean, we're always calling against this sizing. I don't think we can raise now when he bets 4 ways, but we're just happily calling, expecting to beat value here. And 10-3 for the bluff, so he bluffs small. Good to know. And the guy behind called with an 8. Right, 10-9 here. Gonna start with... Oh, this guy seems to be a big fish, but I guess we get involved here. Gonna start with half pot here on this 10 high board. Yeah, not expecting this guy to fold, but I just want to play 8 pots against this guy. He seems quite loose and quite wide. Starting with a small c-bet suits my hand a lot, right? Turn we still lose to 8s and 7s, right? So it's not that great to continue, and we're rather just gonna check to then bluff catch on the river. So that's gonna be my plan with this hand. 4 really nice, none of his overcards get there. We see a half pot bet, notorious for being over bluffed in this spot. Yeah, happy call here. And here's ace queen. So just another reason why we have to get involved in pots with a guy like this. I'll start with a small c-bet, even though I shouldn't bet too much on boards like this one, but I don't think I'm getting check raised nearly enough there. And my hand needs a lot of protection. So after the 8s versus kings hands, we're slowly but surely grinding back to even. 3-betting linear, blindy blind against a fish, 3-betting a lot in position here, wide ranges. Just doing kind of whatever I want as long as I'm aggressive and putting in money with my strong hands. I'm not going to play polarized range here, 3-betting 10-3 suited or ace-2 suited. I'm just 3-betting my broadways 20-25% here, and yeah, trying to play bigger pots in position against fish. That's always profitable. Then pot check. Doing something maybe a little bit ambitious, but he checked quite quickly. But yeah, on double paired pots, people don't like to fold ace high, so maybe better to just check here. Yeah. Or I have to go even larger. All right. What was that? Okay, seems to be an error. Yeah, we'll keep for another 5 minutes. Hopefully nothing crashes here. Again, mixed frequency 3-bet, but I'm going for it. Taking it down. Try a couple more hands. Opening 3x with the recreational in the big blind. Aces, come on. Can we do something nice to end the 3-man? Nope, just a fold. 10-8, I will defend. Could also consider 3-bet, but I would prefer to be a bit more linear against the fish here. Beautiful flop. Depending on the sizing, you can go for check call or for check raise here. If we check raise in this position, we're not getting called by that many worse hands. Obviously, we're still doing fine against a small bet. I don't mind just check raising, protecting my hand for a small sizing. If not letting him see a free card with his overcards. And now we have the option to either turn our hand into a bluff or go into check call mode, or potentially the double check raise. Yeah, I think I like starting out with a check. Still ahead of 7x, weaker pocket pairs. He checks back. We lose 2 jacks, 10s now, better 8x. I think the plan is just to check and win. Is a small block bet better here? It's hard to get value from worse once the 7 pairs on the river. So I think a check is slightly better. And now this is a bit of a gross spot. So you have some missed hearts. 10-9, Jack 10 for sure. Some King X, some 7X. 10s on the right side, I'll just call. Flopping top set is great. It's not great having that 10 of hearts here. Blocks a lot of bluffs. 10s on the right side, just calling. 6-5, 5-4 we also beat. Yeah, I think I will just make the call. It's just about enough bluffs, but it's not like a super happy spot. And he does have the missed hearts. He checks to me after large bet on the flop. This could potentially be a hand to get trappy with. He needs to call some ace king here. But he did bet large on the flop, so it's less likely to have hands like that. So I don't mind actually going for a super small bet here. We unfortunately just get the call, but we get the best river in the deck. Hopefully we see a donk. Him just check calling makes me think he has a lot of ace king or king queen, so just call for the pot odds. Don't think I'm getting bluff jammed here basically ever, so I'm just jamming and hoping he does have like the random ace 9 or the random slow played aces, or makes a hero with ace king, putting me on queen jack. So that's going to be the play here. And we do get called by ace 9. Very nice. Obviously weirdly 3-bet, and but here we have multi-way lead and a call. If this guy would have folded, I think I would have raised. Now multi-way, I think I'm just folding. So yeah, cooler there for our side, but definitely cooler that he could have avoided. It was interesting large bet on the flop. Started with a small range bet here. Queen 8 multi-way. Theory just a fold. In practice we could consider calling this with the recreational in there. I think it's still just a fold though with the 3x. And facing a raise here from a tight guy, I'll just fold my deuces even with a diamond here. So let's sit out next big blind. I think there were some interesting hands in there, but mainly just showing that you play solid steel a lot free, and start with small c-bets. Keep it rather simple is enough, you know, and just wait until you make a good hand. Don't be afraid to go for the maximum here, and somehow people will find the hands to pay you off. Like here, just by playing solid pre-flop ranges, we kind of won a pot that, you know, where we should not have won more than just the blinds. Gonna start with a check. You could also start with a c-bet. Actually with 7-4, don't mind going for the c-bet here, but also check calling would be fine. And now my goal is just to try and check this down. Obviously never bluffing. Facing a stab here. We're not too happy. He definitely floats ace high, floats jack high. Now he also gets there with hands like 10-9. We block 5-4 that he could bluff for 4-3. So we're just checking, hoping to win against like king 6. And check raise bluffing more hand like queen 10, for example, that we could have here now. 10x or 10-9. And we lose against 10-9, which makes a lot of sense. And I think that was the last hand. So let's have a quick, and you see the results, but I'll just show it in full screen so it's a bit better. Went upper bind early with the 5s. Got a bit lucky there to not run into I think he had an open and straight draw, then lost the kings against 8s, and then at the end got the 10s against 10-9. So yeah, solid session. We didn't do anything fancy, but I think that's enough, and also how I would recommend most of you to play at these stakes. Alright, I hope you enjoyed it. Check out our other YouTube videos. If you have any questions, hit me up in the Discord about coaching or anything else. And yeah, maybe see you soon in another YouTube video or stream. Bye bye guys, take care.